laskenut on. Kutsuja soi iltahuudon, taakka jo laskettu on.
Greetings, I'm Greg Jacob with Finlandia Foundation Columbia Pacific Chapter, and today, in our so-called second installment of Local Finns in the News, we're going to be talking to Väino Koskela. Adam Perkiömäki and I will be doing the work today, and Adam is our technician. He's our cameraman, sound man, and so on. If you watched the first Local Finns in the News, you saw Kaija Perkiömäki interviewing Väino and Marilyn Parkiainen in Finlandia Sauna. Adam and Kaija are the son and daughter of Jukka and Judy Perkiömäki. Today we're going to be meeting with Väino Koskela. Väino's 97 years old now, and he's a survivor of the Winter War and the Continuation War in Finland. The Winter War lasted approximately 5 months between November 1939 and February-March of 1940. It was a brutal conflict. In that short time span, 300,000 Russian soldiers lost their lives, compared to 65,000 soldiers in Finland. And the Continuation War was just that. A few months later, once again, the Finns were in conflict with the Russians, this time under the threat of Nazi German aggression. Väino Koskela, being a Finn, won't brag about himself. He'll say very little about his accomplishments, but he was a hero, and he received two Purple Hearts for his valor and heroism during the Winter War. He told me at one time he was caught in a fierce firefight, jumping from stump to stump, caught one in the leg, and been bothering him ever since to this day. And another time he and his platoon actually sneaked behind the Russian front line and destroyed several of their tanks, and they managed to get back to safety. Well, we are going to be at the home of Leila and Mike Collier, and Leila is the daughter of Väino and Lempi, and they also have a brother, George, who lives in Walport, Oregon. So without further ado, we'll begin our conversation with Väino Koskela. Well, greetings everyone. I'm Greg Jacob with the Columbia Pacific Chapter of Finlandia Foundation. We are at the home of Mike and Leila Collier in Warrenton, Oregon. And today we're going to interview Väino Koskela, who's 97 years old and fought in the Winter War, 1939 to 1940. It was a 5-month conflict, and during that time, 300,000 Russian soldiers were killed, compared to 65,000 Finns. I'm going to ask Väino at first some questions about his family. Väino, where were you born in Finland, and can you tell us a little bit about your parents and your siblings?
I was born in Finland February 17, 1924, and I am now 97 years old.
What city in Finland?
Kurikka city. That used to be the township, but they got the titles for a city.
Okay. What did your mother and father do, or your dad's occupation?
My father was, he died in 1938, and he was 52 years old at that time. My mother died many years later. My wife, she's been sick now for over 2 years and has been in a hospital ever since.
Okay.
And is right here in this town.
You grew up in a large family, didn't you? Lots of brothers and sisters?
Well, I have had 6 brothers, including myself,
Yeah.
and 3 sisters.
3 sisters.
They are all dead. I'm only one left from a family of 9.
Okay. Väino, when did you immigrate to the United States?
1955.
And you ended up in Duluth?
Yeah, Duluth, Minnesota, that's where I came to. And because my relatives were over there.
Uh-huh.
My uncle and his family. And I had another uncle, Steve Koskela, in Duluth, Minnesota, and Sam Koskela was in Floodwood, Minnesota.
Oh.
But they are all dead. I'm all alone.
I know you were in Duluth, Minnesota for a while. But then you moved to Astoria, right?
1977.
1977?
Yeah.
Is there a reason you moved to Astoria? Did you have a job here, or do you have friends here?
Well, in Minnesota time, I was I'm tailor by the trade, and I was working in Knudsen tailor shop in Duluth, Minnesota, and he died. He was an older man, and he died, and that the family sold the business, and I was out of the work. But it didn't last very long, but because there was lots of clothing stores, they needed to have a bushelman tailors fixing up and fitting up the clothing what they were buying, and that I was 5 years in this kind of a business over there. Then we moved over here.
Yeah,
that was in 1977.
Well, after the war, you said you were a tailor, and I think that's how you met your wife, right? Didn't she work in your brother's tailor shop, and you met, and then went to a dance or something like that?
Yeah. Well, right after the war, when war ended, and Russia, they wanted to have a 10% of Finland land to give for them. And my wife lived in Karelia, and they had to move away from there. 40,000 Finns moved deeper into Finland. And the land and houses and everything that they had over there almost were forced to left for Russia because they gave only 2 hours to move. So they told them, they were told by the door, you have to leave in 2 hours. Take anything you want, but you have to be able to carry it. So you cannot do very much. All the heavier stuff will have to leave, and that's exactly what happened. My wife and her family, they moved to our home area in Kurikka area, and we get to quit it, and we married, and we have 2 children. They are both here in the United States. My daughter, our daughter, and I live in 150 miles south from here. Highway 101. My son, and his family. They don't have no children, but they are. He's married, and
Layla and Mike live here in Warrenton, and your son George lives in Waldport, correct?
Yeah, I used to live here in Astoria.
Was your first job at the plywood mill in Astoria when you came here?
I think I was in a dry chain.
Dry chain, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know what that is?
Yes, some of my classmates were on the dry chain. Oh yes.
But then all the jobs were in bidding. So I bid for a Raymond machine.
Okay.
You know what that is? Okay. I was there as long as I was in plywood. But I think I worked there for 2-3 years only. No, 9 years. 9 years. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm going to, I think, shift to the Winter War. A few questions about the Winter War. You started in 1939. Do you remember, can you tell us a little bit what boot camp was like for you before you got out on the front?
First of all, before I was drafted to the Finnish army, I was underage.
Mm.
And soon after when I got 18 years old, that was the lowest, youngest age that they are drafting. And I went to the boot camp. I was there 6 months. And we went through all of the training and everything at that time, and we were needed to have in the front.
Mm-hmm.
So my service in the country was roughly 2.5 years, and that remaining 2 years I was all the time in front. And that was, at the time when I went to the front, war wasn't moving back or forth. It was standing right in the same place, only night watches and everything, and whatever needed to be over there. But then when Russians wanted to get rid of Finland, at least in fighting, they really put the power on us. I have said many times that it is almost impossible to find out the words to tell how hard it was. Terrible. I can still remember lots of things, especially one when I didn't get no notice to leave my watching area. So I see we have a law in the army that you cannot leave the watch area. You have to stay until you get the notice to come. But they sent a man to tell me to move away, but I think he died on the way to me, and I didn't get the notice to move. So Russians were right in front of us, and we were on a higher hill, but they couldn't always come over from every place. And they started to make the tent right down in front of me, but down to 20, 30 meters, we call meters. I watched them for a while, but then I didn't see any old men around. Mm. So I figure out that evidently I have to leave now, because otherwise I will be taken for killed. And I had a trench from my work watch area. It went straight down about 10 meters, then it turned that way, and that's how they made it. So they were safe. Couldn't see you more than 5-6 meters.
Jeez.
And I got out of it from a sight of them, Russians, and I happen to know the area well enough to be able to hide and go. You have to be very careful when you go. You almost have to see every tree. There was lots of big trees over that area. You go from one tree to another and like that. And then you have to watch all around yourself that you are not seen. Well, anyway, I got as far as there was a farmhouse and I wasn't sure. I didn't see that house earlier, so I went to see that if there is anybody. But the people were out of it. They were evacuated already. The people in Finland, and there was Russians were over there, and I was right behind them still.
Jeez.
And I saw one man feeding a horse with our haze.
That's your age.
So there was a little area right by the, I think, for cows to milk and so on. And there was a machine. I call them konekivari. That was the big machine gun. It was right on top of the post. Well, anyway, I watched it for a while, and I said to myself that I think you are in the wrong place. But good thing was that there was no man behind that machine to shoot. It makes some 350 bullets per minute. So I went to the river. There was a river, little lake at this side, and I was going that way. So there was a river which was flowing to the south to this little lake. So I figured that our troops must be over on the other side of this river. So I turn around, I look at it back a little bit on the side of me. I saw there Finnish man, I don't know how the names of it. Little better than here is the Navy first class, legs up. That's the only thing I can. We call him a lieutenant with the 2 stars together, both sides, one. So I went there as fast as I was able to, and I met the man over there, and I asked him, "Are you Finn?" "Yes, I am Finn." "Are you in a cavalry army?" "Yes, I was in a cavalry." So he answered it also, yes. So I said, "Where is the headquarters?" "It's always with." He said, "Go around, and then a little bit down, so you will find it." I did exactly what he said, and I found a place. There was our headman, general, and other big shots.
Now I heard that during the Continuation War, you were clearing an airfield because Mannerheim knew that Adolf Hitler was going to land at this airfield. Do you remember?
I was working in northern Finland with other young boys. We were making an airport picker so that the German Stukas can come there. You know what a Stuka is?
Stuka? Yeah.
They palm straight down.
And go up.
Stuka. That is the airplane name. Yeah, and one day when we were working over there was a number of boys, all young men, all grown-ups were in war. So we got the notice from our boss that you go to the woods, go far enough so that nobody can see you, guys. So we went, but not too far. We wanted to see what is going on. So there was a Stuka coming to the airfield, and when it stopped in pretty close to the area where we were working, there was a car waiting for.
Mhm.
There was a very familiar man coming out of the airplane. We knew who was a Hitler in Europe. Little bit,
Little mustache.
big,
Yeah.
yeah, little bit here.
Well,
So anyway, he walked to the car and he had a company with 2-3 men with him.
Mhm.
And the airplane left. When they left, so evidently the other one was coming to get. That was the reason why he came to Finland, because our war general Carl Emil Mannerheim, he was 75 years old at that time. So he came to meet him. That was Hitler's first time and last time, and he came to our country over there.
okay. I want to go back to the time you said you were shot in the leg. What were you doing? What were you doing when the Germans shot you in the leg? I mean, the Russians.
When I got hurt, so there was a man that happens to be from home area. This man who came with a horse in the woods to pick up the wounded men, and he took me back, and they sent me to the first area where they gave me the first treating for patients, and then further down, and then to the train and hospital. And I was 2 weeks in the hospital, and they let me go home for another 2 weeks, but the doctor gave me 2 more weeks, so I was 1 month at home, hospital, and then I went back to my home. And when I got 2 times, the last 2 weeks at home, so I had to go in the office to report that I am now ready to go. When I went to the office on the way in the city of Seinäjoki in Finland, I went to the restaurant to eat, and I ordered my meal. So there was a extra news came up, and it says that war has ended. Did you hear me? It said that those extra news said that the war has ended. That was so big news.
Big news, yes.
I can cry yet.
Well, it was such a brutal war.
Yeah.
And so many people sacrificed their lives for the country.
That was so good news that I ate, and I went back. I was sent back to the my troops in city of Lappeenranta.
I want to thank you, Väino, for taking the time to talk to us about your experience during the Winter War and the continuation war. I should mention to our listening audience that in a few months, you and Lempi, your wife, will be celebrating your 73rd wedding anniversary. So, congratulations. Good man. And again, thank you, and thank you, Mike and Layla, for letting us use your home here to have this interview with Väino Koskela,
Thank you.
a veteran of the Winter War, 1939-40.